Awesome. Sweet Nick. Well, thanks a lot for doing this. I'm really excited for what I want to start doing with the site, which is highlighting super talented viewers like yourself. Right now, you've got the lowest p-value on the site. Your p-value, I think, is around 0.3, 0.4, right? A 3 to 4% chance that
Point, yeah, point
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 zero three.
zero
Yeah,
three. Yeah.
point zero three, 3 to 4% likelihood that your average score happened by chance. You don't have a ton of sessions yet, right? The site's only been open for a week. I think you've got like 6 or 7 sessions.
Yeah.
But your average score is super great on like the placebo decoy based judge. So I would love to like highlight some of these sessions with you, and maybe you can walk me through the different hit points, maybe some of the points that you missed or that were hard, and kind of your methodology in general. So if you can pull up my screen share, and you remember these sessions, right? Do you
Yeah,
remember
I
these?
start I st- I started the three, which to me were, you know, obvious hits.
So real quick, I'm just going to show your stats page. So you have, like I said, a relatively small number of sessions, but the reason that the p-value is so low is because you've been incredibly consistent. You've had a very low score. Your average rank is 3.33, p-value of 0.0323. So really phenomenal stuff. And if I go and look at your sessions,
So
very
if I go
consistent.
if we go back to p-value for a second, can
Yeah.
you explain like what would be like a by chance typical p-value? So for
So
people who don't understand p-value.
Yeah, so a statistically significant p-value is 0.05 or lower. And what p-value is measuring is what are the odds that result, that your average score occurred by chance, right? So if it's a 0.05 p-value, that basically means that the odds that your session scores being that low, just being chance, are less than 5%, and yours is 0.03. So there's a 3% chance that your sessions are just occurring by chance, which is very low. Especially the site's only been open for a week, and you only have a handful of sessions, but you've been phenomenally consistent so far. I looked through your sessions. You've got I really like your style. It might be the most detailed set of sessions on the site. So it's very significant, lowest on the site right now. I've actually got a leaderboard that I put up a day or two ago where it tracks, the top five people who have won the most money in bounties, top five most sessions completed, top five p-values, and you're number one. So
Cool.
I'd love to. That's awesome. I'd love to look at some of these sessions. Let's go to the first one. Well, actually, let me. This one, that's gonna be sideways. That one's a little tough. Let me start with the other two. I'm gonna build in a feature that lets you like auto rotate it, but it's not there yet. So if it's cool, I'd love for you to just give me a rundown of, this target, the session that you produced, what you were thinking while you were producing it, your methodology, all that stuff.
Yeah, so the first thing I do, so when I view, I'll listen to music. So typically like a trancey style, like maybe techno or something that's got like a good solid beat. That helps me kind of get in the zone. I might listen for like 3 to 5 minutes before I actually tune into the target. When I tune in, the first thing I'll do is draw like an ideogram. Now with CRV, like I think there's set ideograms that you would kind of stick to. For me, I'll just draw like a first little sketch or impression of what comes through.
Mhm.
So in this session, if you put your cursor over the like top left image,
Is that these are the
that's what that
ideograms?
is there. Yeah. So the first one at the top, it was like an impression of a person kind of like, I don't want to say on a stage because like we know that, he's sitting on a stump,
Hmm.
but those are kind of the images that came through to me right at the start.
Hmm.
And then from there, I move into, whether it's man-made, whether it's there's life form. So
Hmm.
the very general characteristics of the target. So here I said man-made structure, life form. To me, it felt contained, and you can see he's kind of contained in this like wall of bushes.
Hmm.
Um, and then I go into kind of like the gestalts, like texture. So what does the target feel like? Visuals, so the colors, the tonality of the colors, the contrast.
Hmm.
That's the V1 you see there.
Yep.
Then it's textures. So what does the target feel like if I was touching the target? So here I had wool, hair, hard, smooth, metallic. And then as I'm going through it too, I'm also like if I get like a visual of a shape as I'm going through this data,
Hmm.
I'll draw it. So if you go to the left again to that bottom shape, there was that pattern is what I saw, and that pattern is the neck of the guitar,
It's a
right?
fretboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so then I just keep going through the different types of gestalt. So like the taste, audio, smells, and other kind of tangible or non-tangible things. So in here, audio, there would be like music.
Yeah.
So that's basically kind of like what I do roughly with every target.
Hmm.
With every target, I try to make sure that I'm going through all of those different gestalts to see what I pick up on.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is all, super, super interesting. And like the first thing that pops out to me is how incredibly detailed this is. There's different ideologies when it comes to remote viewing and associative remote viewing. I can tell that you really take your time with this. Is that something that you value? Not basically spamming sessions and really taking your time and going through all of the different sensations?
Yeah, so going through all of that, that's something I learned when I was studying CRV. And then a year and a half ago, I did a Monroe Institute training, and Joe McMonagle was one of the teachers in that training.
Hmm.
And he prefers ERV, which is a little bit less structured.
Hmm.
I find with viewers, if you want to improve, like you need to get detailed, and the only way you're going to improve is by trying to go detailed. And of course, you're going to suck at first. The way I like to explain remote viewing to people is that the better term would be remote sensing. And if I had a bowl of soup and I gave you the bowl of soup and I said, taste the soup and tell me what herbs are in that soup, you might pick out one or two out of the maybe seven or eight. But if I gave that same bowl of soup to like a 3-star Michelin chef, well, they're probably going to be able to pick out all eight, right?
Hmm.
And the difference is they've refined their palate from the years of cooking and tasting things. Well, with remote viewing, it's the same thing. If you want to learn how to pick up more data, like you have to probe for that data and you have to write down what you're getting.
Hmm.
And initially, you're going to get things wrong. But if you've got snow in a target and you miss it, well, then when you look at your feedback afterwards and you kind of tap into the energetic frequency of what the aspects of that target feels like, what that snow feels like, then if you get snow in another session, there's higher probability that you're going to pick it up.
Mm. Did you notice, well, when you first started learning remote viewing, you're telling me you have this great analogy about, a Michelin chef is going to be able to pick up the different, tastes. Did you have a predisposition towards a specific category of sensation when you started? Because what I'm noticing is this is incredibly diversified in the things that you're picking up. You're picking up sound, you're picking up feel, you're picking up like how crowded it is. Does it feel like there's people? Was that something that you trained over time? Like, did you have a predisposition before and you slowly had to build upon that skill set to get these different categories, or how did that look for you?
No, I think I've always been more accurate when it comes to like colors, for
Mm-hmm.
example. But I'm guessing that's because like there's always going to be colors in a target,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's always colors to probe, right? For me personally, for me to improve in my remote viewing, then I think the next step is for me to get even more detailed. And in order to do that, you have to take more time, spend more time with the session,
Mm-hmm.
do more probing. But again, it's practice, right? It's doing more and really not afraid of being wrong when you're probing the target.
Mm. Gotcha. Yeah, that's all. That's phenomenally interesting and great information. And I'm looking at this, and I'm just in awe. Like if you go at these like point by point, the like overall vibe or the gestalts of what you're getting like are 90%. I mean, you got the wood, you got the color, you got the sense of being observed. That's crazy. That's like a pretty rare, I feel like, thing. You got the sense that it was performative. You almost drew a fretboard over here. Like the level of detail is super cool. So that's awesome. And I can see your text here as well. It's all the same stuff. Let's go over one other impression, like the one other one that you starred. Oh, this one. I remember looking at this one. This one was
Yeah,
was
that was that
awesome.
was a that was a really tough target. I
Hmm.
spent like a good 20 minutes on that because I couldn't get to the colors, right?
That's so funny. You
There
said
was no
monochrome.
impressions of colors coming through. So I stuck with, what did I write? Dark gray and
You wrote
monochrome.
monochrome. Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. And even besides this, I mean, the other stuff, man-made structure. Do you think so? You had an idea down here that this was AI, and you know that there's AI targets on the site. Do you think that that was due to it being monochrome? What do you notice that
Yeah.
there's?
So for me, there's two things that stand out about this target that make it a little bit more complex.
Mhm.
One is like the lack of color, and the other thing is the lack of like a specific target. So in the last image we looked at, it was a guy playing guitar, right? And a typical RV tasking is, describe the subject of the photograph at the time the photograph was taken.
Mhm.
And in this picture, there's no real subject,
Mhm.
right? So when there's no real subject like that, it makes it a little bit trickier.
Mhm.
If you go to the gestalt, like the first, not the gestalt, sorry, the ideogram in the top left,
Mhm.
the first thing I drew was that shape with the opening in the middle, the second
Yep.
thing down.
Yep.
And like to me, that was like, if you look at the image,
Yeah.
like the right side is like the opening on the right.
Mhm.
So like that little ideogram was representative of like the opening in the middle, how it was like hollow in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, it's if it's just so cool if you go point by point. These are, that's the cool thing is that's what I love about your sessions is there's so much detail and it's a very high hit rate of the different details that you pick up on. This session was super interesting to me, and you're right. This is a difficult target, and while I was building the target pool, I intentionally tried to have a very wide range of types of targets. People were giving me feedback about how I should really only include targets where there's a single focus and there shouldn't be too much going on. But I feel like that becomes predictable. So I really tried to make the targets really unpredictable, looking at different things, different scales, just
100%. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, overall different feelings. So you getting a hit on, two different, completely different types of images where they're not even in the same ballpark, to me just makes it, all the more
Yeah.
impressive.
What I like about that one too is I picked up on the word echo, right? So to
Yes,
me,
yeah,
there
where
was
is
this
that? Yeah.
echoing sound, which is the thunder from the lightning bolt.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. I always think like echo because it's like a city and like big concrete buildings, but that's so cool. There's the lightning bolt and the thunder that would have produced. That's an awesome thing. And then the text. When you do the text, do you just transcribe your impressions right in
Yeah,
there?
I'm not sure how good AI is at picking up my handwriting, so I just kind of write some bullet points in from the
That's the,
session.
I think it's decent, but that's definitely a safe bet. On the sessions when people are putting it, I tell them in the tips and tricks, like, please try to make your sessions as legible and clear as possible because, there's an AI looking at it. But this is awesome, man. I mean, I could keep going through your sessions. Like they're all so good. One other thing that I want to hit on with you is I want to get an overall feel and your perspective as a super talented viewer. I want to know, what do you love about remote viewing and what do you see in remote viewing? Why do you practice it?
So for me, it's about I do it not for the remote viewing itself, but to develop my higher mind connection.
Mm.
Um, so I work in personal development and spiritual self help, all these law of attraction type stuff. And as humans, we have a lower mind, which is what I would call the human mind, the analytical mind. Um, and then we have the higher mind. And the higher mind is the part of us that's connected to our soul, to unity consciousness, um, to the matrix or the quantum or whatever you want to call it. So the art of remote viewing, in my opinion, is the best skill to develop that higher mind connection and build that muscle.
Hmm.
So that's the primary reason that I play with remote viewing. But
Hmm.
I've played with ARV like over the last 15 years. I've come in and out of remote viewing and I've practiced it. Um, Probably last year I played with it for about 6 months. When I first started, probably about a year. So it's something that I kind of come into and drop off of here
Hmm.
and there.
Mm. Do you have any I guess ideas, looking forward in the field of remote viewing? It seems that so much is happening. There's all these apps that are coming out. There's certain bits of research that have come out recently and that are ongoing that are extremely scientific. What are your thoughts, and do you have some sort of a vision or an idea about where this field is going?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think humanity in general is going through a consciousness shift.
Mm.
I think more and more people are becoming more aware of of stuff like this, of even open content. Like there's so many topics that are coming to the forefront now that relate to consciousness.
Hmm.
I think more people are going to kind of start playing with things like remote viewing.
Hmm.
Um, where it goes, who knows? I mean, I've done some cool stuff like with my girlfriend that you could almost call like telepathic, where I would tell her to pick a target in her parents' house in a room that I've never been in
Yep.
and pick something on the wall or something on a dresser or and just think about it, and then I would remote view it, right? So like there's different ways you can play with remote viewing. Like you said, there's ARV, which is fascinating. I've When I first started doing remote viewing, when I was playing with ARV, I was 80% on target with positive matches.
Mm.
But as soon as the tasker would start putting wagers, my results would flip to 20% on target, right?
Mm.
And now
In a
since
binary
then,
decision, or would there be?
binary, yeah.
Then they should just bet
And
against you, right?
well, it didn't matter what the betting was. Even when he would bet against me, it was
Oh,
still wrong.
really? It would still flip.
And now I think it comes down to belief systems,
Mm.
right? And that's a whole other topic. But people don't consider the fact that I think the tasker and the tasker's belief systems has an impact on the session's end results as much as the viewer, right? So for me, if I've got somebody that's tasking me that's got a high level of belief in remote viewing,
Hmm.
then the odds of having a really good session are much higher than somebody who has very low belief in remote viewing.
Mm. Yeah, and that's something that we see kind of throughout psi phenomenon. Like there's the super famous quantum random number generator experiments, like the ones done in the Pear Lab at Princeton, where they proved over like a massive data set that just conscious intention was enough to be able to sway a quantum number generator a very small amount in either direction. So there's something really weird going on, with psi, and that's something that motivates me so much to build in this space and to try to research and build great technologies, is that there's so much outside of our understanding. Like there seems
Oh,
to be a clear
100%.
effect when it comes to intention with with the effect of psi, and that completely breaks like every scientific model we have. So I look at that and I go, holy shit, we need to put everything we can in this. There's so much to be learned here, and it really, really, excites me.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Nick, thank you so much for doing this. It's a pleasure. I'm really happy that you allowed me to have some of your time and speak to you. I think that, anyone, watching this, other viewers can get a lot of value hearing talented viewers like yourself and your protocol and your methodology and everything like that. And I hope you continue to do well on the site. Right now you got the highest p-value by a decent margin. I hope you stay on the top of that leaderboard. And again, man, thanks for doing this. Keep in touch. If there's anything you ever want to see on the site or any feedback you have, keep letting me know. I'm very open to
Yeah.
feedback.
Reach out anytime. And my suggestion for people who are on the site is like, don't be scared to get more detail because that's the only way you're going to improve.
Mm. You mean
Right?
more detailed impressions?
You got to mess up in order to get better. There's no way around that. So don't be afraid to mess up and screw up your sessions. But that's the learning process. That's how you get better at it.
Nice, awesome. I think that's a good word to end off on.